All right, so question is Jay Powell and the Fed going to juice the economy to give Biden an election year boost? And also the Supreme Court decision today that gives Texas the authority to arrest immigrants, and I think the razor wire is going to stay. Joining me now is Louisiana Senator Mr. John Kennedy. Senator Kennedy, we really appreciate you coming on. I want to start, sir. I know you have the Laken Riley Act, which is very important, and related to that, Supremes today, as you probably know, at least for the short run, are letting the Texas authorities continue to arrest illegal migrants and leave up the barrier, the barbed wire or whatever the wire is called. And it seems to me that's a step in the right direction. What do you think?
Yes, it is a step in the right direction. I think it's clear to most Americans, Larry, that if we're going to secure the border, we're going to have to work around President Biden and the White House. Sometimes when people act like when they don't care, it's not an act. And it's clear to me that President Biden just doesn't care about the border problem. The only reason he's talked about the border problem is because it's become an issue in his campaign. Otherwise, he's perfectly content to see the border be an open bleeding wound. He believes in open borders. It's chaos by design. So the states are going to have to fill the vacuum.
You know, it's so interesting to me, sir, with respect to Texas and the Supreme Court and so forth, the barbed wire and the barriers actually are working, which harkens back to what Trump tried to do with the wall and, of course, remain in Mexico. But the numbers are down in Texas. The problem shifted into Arizona and, of course, San Diego, Tijuana in Southern California. I mean, barriers work, as it turns out, even though the Bidens don't understand that.
Well, I suppose this is self-evident, but razor wire won't hurt you unless you try to go over it or through it. And that's not astrophysics. You know, it's pretty basic. And I've never understood politically why President Biden wants to oppose the barriers, other than the fact that he really believes in open borders. Now, he won't say that because it's killing him politically. The three things hurting the president politically are inflation, the border, and his age. Many Americans think they can, to paraphrase one of my favorite columnists, they think they can roast a Thanksgiving turkey in the time that it takes the president to walk across the stage. Now, that may not be fair, but that's what they think.
Yes, sir. I hear you. Let's touch on your Laken Riley Act. I mean, that is just an unbelievable, unspeakable tragedy. And as I understand it, this act, which would be in addition to the House bill on immigration, but you'd have the authority to make arrests if these illegals commit crimes in the U.S. You can arrest them. Now, will that override the sanctuary cities, which have, you know, that's the heart of the problem domestically?
Well, this will tell the sanctuary cities that they have to do the job. They have to follow the federal statute. If they don't, we can withhold their money. All our bill, all the Riley Act does is say, look, in Ms. Riley's case, this illegal immigrant was caught shoplifting, endangering a child. They let him go. Local authorities let him go when he killed Ms. Riley. And our bill would say no. If you're here in the country illegally and you shoplift or commit theft or something like this illegal immigrant did, you have to be arrested and turned over to ICE. Yep. And ICE deports you. Yep. You don't have rights if you're the same rights as an American if you're here illegally, although some of my Democratic colleagues call folks who are here illegally undocumented Americans. They're not undocumented Americans. They're foreign nationals, and they're in our country illegally.
They're illegals. They're illegals. We used to call them illegal aliens, for heaven's sakes, instead of going soft. Senator Kennedy, in the last minute, You and I have talked about Federal Reserve monetary policy from time to time. Do you think that the Fed would dare, start slashing interest rates and juice the economy to reelect Joe Biden? What do you think on that, sir?
Well, in 30 seconds, I would never bet my house on what the Fed's going to do or not do. But if I were betting your house, Larry, I would bet that Jay Powell will not cut interest rates. Why? Because I don't believe that Chairman Powell's mother raised a fool, and if she did, it was one of his brothers. Jay Powell understands that if he cuts interest rates, it's going to stimulate the economy and it's going to create more inflation. And I don't think Chairman Powell wants to go down in history as the Federal Reserve chairman who couldn't get control of inflation.
Senator Kennedy, I think I'm going to keep my house because, hold your breath, I agree with you on this point. I'm going to hang on to my house. I think you're right, too. I don't think Jay Powell's dumb enough to do that kind of thing.
And I bet you've got a nice house, Larry, nicer than mine, I'm sure.
I don't know. We'll compare sometime, Senator. You could be a house guest in our place anytime you want in rural Connecticut.
Larry, I've heard your house is bigger than a Costco, man.
Senator John Kennedy, we love having you on the show, sir. Thanks ever so much.